What if the way you were taught to build wealth is exactly why building wealth feels so difficult? Work hard, get a good job, save whatever is left, buy a house, pay your bills, wait 30 years. But the world has changed, and if you're still using an old financial playbook in a new economy, you could spend decades working harder without getting significantly richer. Before we get into it, subscribe to Ego Money and comment the city you're watching from. I want to see how many cities are building wealth with us. Because today, we're replacing the old wealth formula with a strategy designed for the world we're living in now. The old wealth formula. For generations, the wealth formula sounded simple. Get a stable job, work hard, earn more, save money, buy a home, avoid unnecessary debt, work until retirement, then enjoy your money. And honestly, some of this advice is still useful. The problem isn't that the old strategy is completely wrong. The problem is that many people were taught to stop there. They were taught that income equals wealth. It doesn't. Your paycheck is income. Your assets are what can help create wealth. And there's a massive difference between the two. Imagine two people. Both earn $60,000 a year. Person A earns $60,000, spends almost $60,000, and has very little invested. Person B earns $60,000, but deliberately keeps part of that income, builds an emergency reserve, pays down expensive debt, and consistently buys productive assets. After several years, they may have completely different financial lives. Same income, different system. That's the first lesson. Your income determines what enters your financial life. Your system determines what stays. Stop thinking that a bigger paycheck automatically makes you wealthy. This is one of the biggest financial illusions. People think, if I could just make more money, everything would be fine. Maybe. But sometimes, more income simply creates more expensive problems. Someone making $40,000 can struggle. Then they get a raise to $55,000. They upgrade the apartment, upgrade the car, eat at more expensive restaurants, buy more clothes, add subscriptions, take more trips. Now they're making $55,000 and still feel broke. Then they get another raise, $70,000, and their lifestyle expands again. This is lifestyle inflation, and it can quietly destroy the wealth-building advantage of earning more. Because every time your income rises, you have a choice. You can increase your lifestyle by $1,000, or you can increase your financial freedom by $1,000. The old way often says, I earn more, therefore I can spend more. The new way asks, I earn more, so how much more can I keep? That's a completely different mindset. The new wealth formula. So what should replace the old formula? Here's the simple version. Earn, keep, protect, invest, repeat. Not earn, spend, repeat. Let's break it down. First, earn. Your income matters. Develop skills. Increase your value. Negotiate. Build additional income where appropriate. But don't stop there. Second, keep. You need a gap between what you earn and what you spend. That gap is where wealth begins. Third, protect. Build emergency savings. Manage expensive debt. Protect yourself from financial shocks. Because there's no point investing aggressively if one unexpected expense forces you to sell everything or borrow at high interest. Fourth, invest. Put money into productive assets appropriate for your goals and risk tolerance. And fifth, repeat. Over and over. Not for 3 weeks. Not for 3 months. For years. That's where the boring part becomes powerful. The most important wealth habit is not investing. Here's something people don't like hearing. You can know everything about investing and still struggle to build wealth. Why? Because investing cannot compensate forever for uncontrolled spending. Imagine pouring water into a bucket with a giant hole. You don't need more water. You need to fix the hole. Your spending habits are the hole. This is why one of the most underrated wealth-building skills is learning how to live below your means. Not live badly, not live miserably, not refuse yourself every pleasure. Simply create a sustainable gap between income and expenses. If you earn $4,000 and spend $3,950, you have almost no room to build. If you earn $4,000 and consistently live on $3,200, you have $800 that can begin working for your future. That's the wealth gap. And the bigger and more sustainable that gap becomes, the faster your financial foundation can grow. Don't wait until you're rich to start investing. The old mindset says, "I'll invest when I make more." But what happens? You make more. Then your expenses increase. So you say, "I'll invest when I make even more." And the cycle continues. Instead, learn to invest consistently with what you have. That doesn't mean putting every dollar into the market. You need an appropriate emergency reserve. You need to handle essential expenses. You need to consider high-interest debt. But once those priorities are addressed, investing can become a regular part of your financial system. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. A small amount invested regularly for years can become much more meaningful than a large amount invested occasionally. The goal is to build the habit before you build the fortune. Because once the habit becomes automatic, your future wealth no longer depends entirely on motivation. Stop chasing things that look like wealth. This is where social media has made things complicated. You see someone driving a luxury car. You see someone in a beautiful house. Designer clothes, luxury vacations, expensive watches, business class flights, and your brain says, "They're successful." But you don't know what's happening behind the camera. That car could be financed. That vacation could be sitting on a credit card. That designer lifestyle could be consuming almost every dollar they earn. Appearance is not a financial statement. A person can look wealthy and have very little wealth. Another person can look completely ordinary and quietly own investments, businesses, property, retirement accounts, and cash reserves. This is why one of the most powerful financial decisions you can make is stop trying to look rich. Because every dollar you spend proving you're successful is a dollar you cannot use to actually become financially successful. And that's one of the biggest differences between the old game and the new game. Old way versus new way. Let's make the difference very clear. Old way, get a raise. Upgrade your lifestyle. Buy a better car. Move into a bigger house. Increase your monthly expenses. Then work harder to maintain it. New way, get a raise. Increase your savings rate. Increase your investments. Strengthen your emergency fund. Pay down expensive debt. Then allow your lifestyle to improve gradually. That's the difference. The old way asks, "How much can I afford?" The new way asks, "How much freedom can I create?" Those questions lead to completely different lives. Your house is not automatically your wealth. Homeownership can absolutely be an important part of someone's financial plan. But there's a dangerous belief that buying the biggest house you can qualify for automatically means you're becoming wealthy. It doesn't. A lender might approve you for a certain amount. That doesn't mean you should spend that amount. Because the real cost of housing isn't just the mortgage. It's taxes, insurance, maintenance, utilities, repairs, furniture, and the lifestyle that often comes with a larger home. The new approach is simple. Buy the amount of housing that supports your financial goals, not the maximum amount a lender says you can afford. Because the difference can be invested, and investments can create options. Stop making your future pay for your present. Here's another old habit. You want something today, so you borrow from tomorrow. Credit cards, buy now, pay later plans, car loans, personal loans, installments. The purchase feels small because the monthly payment looks manageable. But eventually, your future paycheck becomes crowded. Before you even get paid, your money already belongs to someone else. That is the opposite of financial freedom. Your future income should create choices, not obligations. So before taking on another monthly payment, ask, will this purchase improve my financial life or simply improve my lifestyle for a moment? That one question can save you thousands. Build cash before you chase millions. Wealth isn't just investments. It's also resilience. Imagine having $20,000 invested, but only $100 in your checking account. Then your car breaks down. You need $1,200. What happens? You might sell investments, use a credit card, borrow money, or ask someone else for help. That's why cash reserves matter. Before chasing complicated investments or trying to become a millionaire, build a financial foundation. Start with a small emergency fund. Then work towards several months of essential expenses depending on your circumstances. Your emergency fund doesn't need to impress anyone. Nobody needs to see it. Nobody needs to know about it. That's the point. It's quiet wealth. Automate the new way. Here's where the strategy becomes easier. Don't rely entirely on willpower. Automate your financial priorities. When your paycheck arrives, money can automatically move toward your goals before you have an opportunity to spend it. Emergency savings, long-term investments, retirement, other financial goals. Then your remaining money becomes your spending money. This creates a powerful psychological shift. Instead of saving whatever happens to remain, you spend whatever remains after saving. That's a huge difference. Because if saving comes last, there's often nothing left. If saving comes first, your lifestyle learns to operate around the amount remaining. Your ordinary paycheck can still build wealth. And this is especially important for anyone watching this who thinks, this sounds great, but I don't make enough. Maybe you're earning $35,000, maybe $45,000, maybe $60,000. Maybe you're supporting a family. Maybe you have debt. Maybe you feel like every dollar already has somewhere to go. I'm not going to tell you that income doesn't matter. It does. If you're struggling to cover basic necessities, the solution isn't simply budget harder. Sometimes you genuinely need more income, developing skills, finding better opportunities, negotiating, building additional income. Those things matter. But here's what I don't want you to do. Wait to become wealthy before you learn how to manage money. Because when your income eventually increases, your habits will come with it. If you learn to manage $3,000, you'll be better prepared to manage $5,000. If you learn to invest $100 consistently, you'll know what to do when you can invest $500. The amount can change. The system remains. Wealth is a system, not a moment. People love financial breakthroughs, the big business idea, the perfect investment, the huge raise, the lucky stock, the viral side hustle. But real wealth is usually much less exciting. It's the same good decisions repeated for years. Spend less than you earn. Keep an emergency reserve. Avoid unnecessary high-cost debt. Invest consistently. Increase your income. Avoid lifestyle inflation. Repeat. That's it. There's no dramatic music, no overnight transformation, no secret millionaire trick. Just repetition. And that's exactly why it works. Because most people are looking for something exciting enough to change their lives, when what they actually need is something boring enough to repeat. The new definition of rich. Let's change the definition. Being rich isn't necessarily driving the most expensive car. It's not having the biggest house. It's not wearing the most expensive clothes. And it's certainly not convincing strangers on social media that you've made it. Being rich can mean you have choices. You have savings. You can handle an emergency. You aren't terrified of the next bill. You can leave a bad situation. You can take time to think. You can invest. You can help your family without destroying your own finances. You can say no. That's wealth. And the interesting thing is, you can start building that kind of wealth long before you become rich. The 5-step new wealth system. So let's turn everything we've discussed into a simple 5-step system. Step 1. Increase your income. Don't become obsessed with cutting every $5 expense while ignoring your earning potential. Learn valuable skills. Look for better opportunities. Negotiate when appropriate. Create additional income streams where practical. Step 2. Create a gap. Spend less than you earn. The gap is your wealth-building fuel. Step 3. Protect the gap. Build emergency savings. Manage expensive debt. Avoid financial decisions that constantly force you backward. Step 4. Put the gap to work. Invest consistently in appropriate long-term assets based on your goals, timeline, and risk tolerance. Step 5. Don't upgrade your life every time your income rises. This one is huge. If your income increases by $500, you don't need to spend all $500. Maybe you invest $300, save $100, and enjoy $100. Now your lifestyle improves, but your wealth improves even faster. That's how you create momentum. And if you're still watching, I want to know something. What city are you watching this from? Drop your city in the comments. Whether you're watching from United States, London, Toronto, New York, Atlanta, or somewhere I haven't mentioned, tell me where you're building your financial future from. And while you're down there, hit subscribe to Ego Money, because if you're ready to stop chasing the appearance of wealth and start building the real thing, you're in the right place. Now let's continue. The biggest change is psychological. The new wealth strategy isn't only about numbers. It's about identity. You have to stop seeing yourself as someone who is trying to get rich. Instead, start seeing yourself as someone who builds assets, someone who protects cash, someone who invests, someone who makes deliberate financial decisions, someone who doesn't need to impress people, someone who understands that every financial decision has an opportunity cost. Because when your identity changes, your behavior starts changing with it. You don't ask, "Can I buy this?" You ask, "Does this deserve my money?" You don't ask, "How much can I borrow?" You ask, "How much freedom will this decision cost me?" You don't ask, "How can I look successful?" You ask, "How can I become financially secure?" That is the new game. Don't compare your beginning to someone else's financial result. One more thing. Don't let social media make you feel behind. Someone might be 25 with $1 million business. Someone else might be 30 with 5 rental properties. Someone else might be 40 and financially independent. Good for them. But your financial journey isn't theirs. You may be starting with debt. You may be starting with a modest income. you may be starting with nothing saved. That's okay. Your first goal isn't to become a millionaire. Your first goal might be $500 saved, then $1,000, then 1 month of expenses, then 3 months, then your first meaningful investment account, then another, and another. Wealth is built in layers. Don't skip the foundation because you're staring at the roof. The old way versus the new way. Let's summarize this one final time. The old way. Work for money. Spend to show success. Save what's left. Borrow when something goes wrong. Upgrade whenever income rises. Hope everything works out by retirement. The new way. Work for income. Create a gap. Protect your cash. Build assets. Invest consistently. Control lifestyle inflation. Increase income. Repeat. The old way focuses heavily on how much you make. The new way focuses on what happens to what you make. And that difference could determine whether an ordinary paycheck simply pays for your life or gradually helps build your wealth. Maybe you've been doing things the old way. Maybe you've been working hard, paying bills, trying to save, trying to invest, trying to keep up, and wondering why wealth still feels so far away. I want you to understand something. You don't necessarily need to completely reinvent your life. You may simply need to change what happens after the money arrives. When your paycheck comes in, don't immediately ask, "What can I buy?" Ask, "What can I keep?" Then, "What can I protect?" Then, "What can I invest?" Then, "What can I build?" That's the shift. Because wealth isn't created by one giant financial decision. It's created by thousands of small decisions that point in the same direction. And you don't have to look rich while you're building it. In fact, the quieter your wealth becomes, the stronger it can become. So stop trying to win the old game. Stop measuring your success by the car outside your house. Stop comparing your lifestyle with somebody's highlight reel. Stop waiting until you earn more before learning how to keep what you earn. Build the emergency fund. Create the gap. Pay down expensive debt. Invest consistently. Increase your income. And let time do what time does best. Compound your progress. If this video gave you a new way to think about wealth, subscribe to Ego Money, because we're building this community around one simple idea. Don't just earn money. Learn how to keep it, grow it, and make it work for you. And before you leave, I have one final question for you. What city are you watching from? And what's one financial goal you're working toward right now? Put your city plus goal in the comments. For example, United States, building my emergency fund. Atlanta, paying off my debt. London, starting to invest. Let's see how many people from different cities are building wealth together. Because the old way said, work until you're rich. The new way says, build freedom one decision at a time. This is Ego Money. Earn, keep, build.